Welcome to Gunsmoke Theater. I'm Dennis Daly. Very few radio or television programs had such an impact on their medium that they changed everything. One of those shows was Gunsmoke. Yes, it ran 20 years on television, but the TV show was a child of the radio show, which itself ran nearly a decade. Sit back now for the next hour as we go back into the archives and play some of those great episodes of the show that changed everything, Gunsmoke. By its second season, Gunsmoke on CBS Radio was becoming quite a sensation. It was getting write-ups in all the newspapers and the radio guides, and there was Radio Guide before there was TV Guide. By 1953, the entire cast was in place. John Meston's writing was right on target, giving the feel of the Old West and that great stable of actors on CBS Radio. Well, all of those guys and gals were there to make Gunsmoke nearly flawless. This time around, 2 episodes from the fall of 1953.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
Could he be?
Don't shoot, Mr. Dillon. It's Chester.
What? Oh, you darn fool.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't see you laying there.
You're slamming doors. You always do that?
Who'd you think it was? Is there somebody after you?
There could be, Chester. A lot of people. Yo, what do you got there?
A telegram. I happened to be passing by the depot and they gave it to me. Here.
Oh, you read it. I haven't got my eyes on it yet.
All right, sir. My, it's from Washington, Mr. Dillon, from the government.
Well, then they still know where I am anyway.
Well, yes, sir. It's addressed to you.
Well, read it, Chester.
All right. It says, proceed to Fort Larned and receive return prisoner from Colonel Bloor. Stop. You will hold in Dodge until arrival of Roger Phillips of Boston. Stop. Signed, C.J. Calvert, War Department. What's it mean?
Well, as usual, it doesn't explain much, Chester. But Fort Larned is a 55-mile ride from here. I got to go over and pick up some prisoner and then ride 55 miles back to Dodge with him.
Yes, but what for, Mr. Dillon?
I don't know, Chester. Maybe that man from Boston can explain it when he gets here.
That colonel at Fort Larned must know.
Oh, you mind?
Can I go with you?
All right. We'll start in the morning at daylight.
Have a chair, Marshal.
Oh, thank you.
Our quarters aren't luxurious here, but we'll find a place of some sort for you tonight.
Well, there are 2 of us, Colonel.
Oh, fine. And when will you want to start back to Dodge?
Tomorrow, if the prisoner's ready.
Prisoner?
Now, don't tell me they got everything mixed up again. I came here to pick up a returned prisoner, whatever that is.
And that's the only description you had?
That's all. I'm to hold him in Dodge till somebody from Boston comes after him.
I'd better explain, Marshal. The prisoner was a captive of the Cheyennes and returned to us several weeks ago.
Oh, I see. Well, can't you keep him here at Fort Larned or just send him home?
It's a woman, Marshal.
What?
Mrs. Phillips, and the man who's coming out from Boston for her is her husband. It'll take him several weeks, so it was thought best that Mrs. Phillips should be in Dodge.
I never heard of sending a woman to Dodge or to be better off. But I'll take her there, and that's what they want. Where'd you find her, anyway?
Well, perhaps I should tell you the whole story. Mrs. Phillips was captured while traveling to join her husband in Denver 10 years ago.
10 years? That's a long time for a woman to live with Indians.
Yes, it is. Her stage was attacked by the Cheyennes, and everyone but her was killed.
Yeah. Well, how'd you get hold of her?
She won't talk much, Marshal, but evidently she managed to escape. You see, we were chasing a band of Cheyennes led by Chief Blackhorn a few weeks back, and we ran into Mrs. Phillips and a girl out on the prairie.
A girl?
A Cheyenne, not a white girl.
Now, that's strange. But anyway, what are you going to do with the girl, Colonel?
It's all been decided in Washington. She's to go on to a reservation.
Oh, well, good. Then I don't have to worry about her.
Well, I'm afraid, Marshal, it's going to take a little time.
Huh? What do you mean?
Mrs. Phillips absolutely refuses to be separated from her.
But right now I have to take them both to Dodge, huh?
I'm afraid so. I'll send for the girl when Mrs. Phillips goes home.
How old's the girl, Colonel?
Perhaps somewhere between 8 and 12.
Well, I suppose I'll meet him at supper.
I don't think so. She insists on eating alone with the girl. Oh, and by the way, they're both still in Indian dress. You'll have to do something about that in Dodge.
Colonel, do you have a bottle of good whiskey hidden in that desk?
Of course I have, Marshal. But don't worry. I'm sure everything will go smoothly.
Sure. I'll ask the colonel if he can spare a wagon, Chester.
Well, it's going to be an awful slow trip in a wagon.
Well, it can't be helped. At least we're getting an early start.
Yes, sir. Hey, by golly, there's the colonel.
Soldiers always get up early, Chester.
That would keep me out of the Army all by itself.
Well, good morning, Colonel.
Good morning, Marshal. Chester.
Good morning, sir.
Mrs. Phillips is waiting inside, Marshal. Shall we go in?
Oh, well, you better stay here, Chester.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Phillips, I've brought Marshal Dillon.
How do you do, Marshal?
Ma'am?
Come in, gentlemen. This is Gray Fawn. You may call her Fawn if you prefer.
No. Does she speak English, ma'am?
A little, but you mustn't expect her to talk. She's a little too frightened of white men.
I've come to take you to Dodge, Miss Phillips.
I know. It's very kind of you. We're ready.
Good. I forgot to ask you, Colonel, if I could borrow a wagon.
Why, certainly, Marshal. And I'll send a soldier along to drive it.
That won't be necessary, gentlemen. Fawn and I have horses, and we can ride.
That's a long trip, ma'am.
I'm sure we've made longer ones, Marshal. We're ready to leave when you are.
I'll have your horses brought up at once, Mrs. Phillips.
Thank you, Colonel.
It's 55 miles, ma'am, and there's no place to spend the night.
You forget, Marshal. I've been a Cheyenne for 10 years.
All right. Well, let's get started.
I swear, Miss Phillips, I don't think you and Fawn are half as tired as I am.
Chief Blackhorn insisted the women ride almost as much as the men, Chester.
What sort of a fella is he, ma'am? I was never acquainted with any Indians real well.
Never mind that now, Chester. Let's stop here. This is the Dodge House, Miss Phillips. I'll go see if they have a room for you.
Thank you, Marshal.
Take my horse, Chester, huh?
Yes, sir, I got him.
Maybe you better tie them all up over there. I'm sure they got plenty of rooms. I'll be back in a minute. Good evening, Hank.
Hello, Marshal. Where you been?
I got a couple of women outside, Hank. They'll want a room here for maybe, 2 weeks.
And so? Sure, Marshal, sure. I need some guests in this place. 2 weeks. That's fine.
Give them your best room. They've come a long way.
Certainly, certainly. You just bring them right in.
Chester,
Yes, sir?
it's okay. Come on in.
Where are they from, Marshal?
Well, it's a long story, Hank, and don't ask them.
Okay. Well, I'll be. Is this them?
This is Hank Risling, Miss Phillips.
Mrs. Phillips?
I'll get you some different clothes tomorrow, ma'am.
That's all right, Marshal.
You really a white woman?
Yeah, of course she is.
What about the girl?
The girl's Cheyenne, but she's staying with Miss Phillips.
No, not here she ain't.
Now listen to me, Hank. Miss Phillips has been a captive of the Cheyennes for 10 years. She got away and brought this girl with her, and they're tired, and they want a room.
Never mind, Marshal. It doesn't matter.
The white lady can stay here, but I ain't taking in no filthy Indians.
You should be ashamed.
And by tomorrow, you'll have to get out of that costume yourself.
Shut up, Hank.
I ain't running no hotels for Indians. Or, come to think of it, even for them that looks like Indians.
No!
Come on, let's get out of here. I apologize for him, Miss Phillips.
There'll only be trouble. I knew it.
Now, I'll find a place for you. Don't worry. Chester? Go over there and get Kitty, huh? Tell her I want to see her right away.
Yes, sir.
It isn't going to work, Marshal.
Now, ma'am, nobody's going to bother you. I promise you they won't.
It's been so long. So much has happened.
But you've escaped now. You're out of it.
No, Marshal, I didn't escape.
What?
I couldn't have escaped. I was allowed to leave. And Fawn was allowed to go with me.
I never heard of Indians doing that before.
It was the chief, Blackhorn.
But why?
Well, you may not understand it. But after the first few years, after I adapted myself to the tribe and its ways, I was treated kindly. But even so, I knew I could never be happy with the Cheyennes away from my own people.
So Blackhorn just lets you come back?
Yes. I know it seems strange, but he's a strong man, Marshal. A very strong man.
All right. But what about Fawn here? He must have known she'd end up on a reservation.
No, never.
Hello, Matt.
Oh, Kitty, this is Miss Phillips.
I know. Chester told me. I'm glad to meet you, Mrs. Phillips.
Thank you, Kitty.
I got a room for you and the girl. It's out back of the Texas Trail. Belongs to a friend of mine. She'll move in with me while you need it.
Oh, that's very kind of you. And her.
Well, I was never caught by the Indians, but I know what it's like to be a stranger in town. Come on, I'll show it to you, and then we can get something to eat.
I hope I can repay you.
Nonsense.
Take the horses, will you, Chester?
Yes, sir.
Shall we go, Mrs. Phillips?
Excuse me, Kitty, I want to say something to the marshal first.
Sure. Here, Fawn, you take my hand. We'll walk on ahead.
What is it, ma'am?
A moment ago you asked about Fawn. You said she'd go to a reservation.
Well, that's what the colonel said.
Fawn will stay with me. Always.
Well, I guess you're pretty fond of her.
Yes, I am. You see, Marshal, Fawn is my daughter.
We will return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, tomorrow in the daytime on most of these same stations, CBS Radio welcomes to the network the distinguished conductor Leopold Stokowski to conduct the new musical series 20th Century Concert Hall. Mr. Stokowski conducts the CBS Radio Chamber Orchestra in the radio premiere of Nikolai Berezovsky's Adagio from the Sextet Concerto. This is a radio premiere in tribute to the composer, who was with CBS Radio's orchestra for 22 years until his death last month. 20th Century Concert Hall starts tomorrow. Now the second act of Gunsmoke.
It took a lot of courage for Miss Phillips to come back into the white man's world after 10 years among the Cheyennes, and to bring her daughter with her. I didn't tell anybody about it. I figured she'd talk for herself when the time came. A week passed, and while the people of Dodge regarded Miss Phillips as a curiosity, they didn't take to her treating the child as an equal. And so they avoided them both. Kitty looked after them, though, and I saw them whenever I could. But it was Doc they really impressed.
I never saw such a pair, Matt. Why, well, they'll live to be 100, both of them.
Well, they look healthy, all right. Ah, there are a couple of chairs, Doc. Let's sit a while, huh?
Oh, yes. I swear if I wasn't so old, I'd go to live with the Indians myself.
Don't think you'd like it, Doc.
I wouldn't. Why not?
Too much work.
Oh, no, not for me. As far as I can tell, there wouldn't be no patients. They're all too healthy.
Oh, before you go, Doc, tell me something, huh?
Huh?
Do you, think the girl is as frightened as she was at first?
Oh, she'll come out of it. Just give her time. This is quite a change for her.
Yeah, it sure is.
There's one thing about Fawn, though.
What?
She isn't pure Cheyenne.
She isn't?
You know as well as I do that she isn't.
It makes sort of a problem for Miss Phillips, doesn't it, Doc?
People would just treat her worse if they knew the truth, man.
Marshal Dillon,
Hello.
I'm Jeff Hunter.
Well, what can I do for you?
I'm on my way to California, Marshal, so I ain't going to cause trouble.
Well, that's fine.
I want to talk to that woman, Mrs. Phillips, you brought to Dodge.
Oh? What for, Hunter?
I'll tell her that, Marshal. I just thought maybe it'd be easier if you took me there. You can stay while I'm talking to her if you like.
All right, Hunter. She lives back of the Texas Trail here. Come on, I'll show you the way.
All right.
I'll see you later, Doc.
Sure, Matt.
You live around here?
Oh, I've been ranching, Marshal. It's too cold winters. I'm going to California.
No?
Yeah.
Family?
No, I'm alone.
No. Ah, here we are.
Come in, Marshal. Oh, both of you.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Miss Phillips, this is Jeff Hunter.
How do you do?
I'm proud to know you, ma'am.
He wants to talk to you, Miss Phillips. He looks like a good man to me, or I wouldn't have brought him here.
Well, you're most welcome, Mr. Hunter.
Miss Phillips, I've heard your story, some of it anyway. I thought maybe you might know something about my wife.
Your wife?
Yes, ma'am. The Arapahoes captured her about 7 years ago. I know there's some Arapahoes and Cheyennes that are friendly, and I was wondering if you ever heard of her. Her name was Ruth.
Oh. The Arapahoes had a white woman once. Blonde, captured on the Solomon River. I never met her, though.
My wife's a blonde, and that's the place it happened.
Oh. Mr. Hunter, when I heard of her, she'd already died. I'm sorry.
Ruth never was very strong. Shouldn't have brought her to this country.
It wasn't your fault, Mr. Hunter. Things just happen sometimes, that's all.
Maybe it's better she died.
That could be.
I hope it wasn't too hard for you, ma'am.
It wasn't easy.
That's a right pretty little girl. What's her name?
We call her Fawn.
Oh, that's a pretty name, too. She takes after you, ma'am.
What?
Well, of course, she's a little different in color, but she kind of has your mouth.
Marshal.
You know I've never said a word, Miss Phillips.
Mr. Hunter, how'd you know Fawn's my daughter?
Why, I just knew, that's all.
How'd you know?
Well, I heard there was a little girl. Nobody said so, but I figured she must be yours, and then when I saw her just now, I knew she was. I hope I haven't said anything to trouble you, ma'am.
No, you haven't. But people have already made it hard.
Sure. People talk, but they don't know. They got no idea what it was like.
That's very true.
Figured you're lucky you're able to bring her with you.
Mr. Hunter, Fawn is a chief's daughter, Blackhorn. It was he who allowed us to leave the tribe.
I'll be going now, ma'am. I hope everything will be all right with you.
Goodbye, Mr. Hunter.
Goodbye. Thanks for talking to me.
I'll see you later, Miss Phillips.
Yes, Marshal.
Jeb Hunter didn't leave Dodge right away. Kitty told me that he ran into Miss Phillips on the street the next day, and they had another conversation. Later, I heard he took her and the girl fishing. I figured he was good company for him, and no harm could come of it. I was busy, and I sort of forgot about him for a few days, when one morning a man walked into the office.
Marshal Dillon? I'm Phillips. Roger Phillips. I've come for my wife.
Well, when did you get into Dodge?
Oh, I came in the Santa Fe last night.
Last night?
I thought it wisest to wait till morning.
Oh. Well, it's your business, Phillips. Chester, go tell Miss Phillips her husband's here. I'll bring him over in a few minutes.
Yes, sir. I'll go tell her, Mr. Dillon.
Well, this is my first trip west in many years. Ever since Mrs. Phillips was lost, in fact.
Yeah. Are you staying?
Staying? Oh, no. No, we'll go straight back to Boston. I much prefer it there.
I see. Well, Miss Phillips is fine, although I have an idea you'll see some changes in her.
I expect that. She's been through a terrible experience, Marshal. Of course, we'll get her back to normal soon enough.
Seems pretty normal to me right now.
Really? That's hard to imagine after 10 years among the savages. I only hope she hasn't, lost too much. She was a well-bred woman, Marshal, and
She still is. She's just learned more.
I told her, Mr. Dillon.
All right, Chester. I'll show you where she's staying, Phillips. Come along.
I sure didn't think much of him, did you, Mr. Dillon?
Not much, Chester.
Awful uppity. Seems a shame. A fine woman like that.
Well, maybe she can handle him.
If he's worth handling.
It's not our problem, Chester.
Well, no, sir, I guess not.
Marshal, I want to talk to you.
Good morning, Miss Phillips.
Good morning, Marshal.
Now, Marshal, you listen to me.
Yeah? What is it?
Well, I've just learned the full truth. I understand you've known about it all along.
I hope you'll forgive me, Marshal. I told him you knew.
There's nothing wrong with that, ma'am.
The whole thing is wrong. A girl will go to a reservation where she belongs. This was arranged in Washington.
No,
Marshal.
Roger. Never, never.
Now, wait a minute, ma'am. Look, Phillips, the colonel at Fort Larned told me the arrangements, but he didn't know the facts, and neither did the people in Washington. Things are a little different now, don't you think?
Well, you can hardly expect me to take that girl back to Boston.
It's up to you, I guess.
Well, then go over there and get her, Marshal. And hold her here in jail until we leave Dodge, and then you can do what you like with her after that.
Roger.
You must be a pretty big man in Boston,
Of
Phillips.
course I am.
But this is Dodge City. Nobody ever heard of you here. Now, why don't you calm down and decide what you're going to do?
I know what I'm going to do.
I won't leave her, Roger.
I won't have her around, here or anywhere else.
Then I'm sorry.
What do you mean you're sorry?
Go back to Boston. I'll stay here.
Do you know what you're saying?
Yes, I do.
I'll divorce you. You'll never get a penny.
I don't want your money. I wouldn't have it.
Very well, then. Stay. No longer anything but a squaw anyway.
Chester,
Yes, sir.
there's a train east leaving soon. Throw him on it.
Oh, I'll do it gladly, Mr. Dillon.
Miss Phillips, go to your place and wait there for me, huh? I won't be long.
All right, Marshal. Come in, Marshal. Why, Mr. Hunter,
Marshal told me to come along, ma'am. I hope it's all right.
come in.
Thank you. Miss Phillips, I told Hunter here that your husband arrived and that he's left.
Yes.
But I didn't tell him that he might still try to cause trouble about the girl.
Could he?
Well, Colonel Bloor's orders were to put her on a reservation. And it'd take a long time to change that through Washington. And Phillips knows it.
What can I do, Marshal?
Clear out where they can't find you. They'll all forget about it in time.
That's a good idea, ma'am, if you don't mind my saying so.
But how? I can't just ride back out onto the prairie with her.
No. No, she can't. Can she? Hunter.
Well, sure wouldn't be right.
Well?
Ma'am,
Yes.
I'm heading for California, like I told you. I can leave any time. I got plenty of room for two more, like you and your pretty little girl.
Do you really want us?
Well, I'll tell you. I've been waiting around Dodge so as I'd be sure that you were going to be all right. You understand?
Yes. Yes, I understand.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was especially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were Helen Klebe, John Daner, Edgar Barrier, Lawrence Dobkin, and Leo Curley. Parley Bear is Chester, Howard McNear is Doc, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty.
By the fall of 1953, Gunsmoke had become, well, a sensation in radio. Writers all over the country were writing about it, and more people were tuning in to their CBS station to listen to the show that revolutionized broadcasting. Now a second show from the fall of Season 2 in 1953.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. Say there, next time you hear a crackling noise in your kitchen, you better get up and investigate. Maybe somebody just couldn't wait for his breakfast of crackling crisp Post Toasties. And that's a treat you shouldn't miss. Post Toasties, you know, are the heap good cornflakes. Why, after one taste, I'll bet anything you'll agree with me. Post Toasties is just the best thing that's happened to corn since the Indians discovered it. There's nothing quite like sweet kernel corn flavor when it's toasted right in. Toasted into crisp, fresh cornflakes. Man, oh man, that's Post Toasties. Heap good cornflakes. Better try 'em. And now, Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad.
This ain't much of a room, Quarter.
Take a look out the window. It ain't much of a town.
Would need a whole lot more dust down there. You couldn't see Dodge at all.
That'd be an improvement. But things will work out. They always have, haven't they?
You got a short memory, Quarter. Didn't work out so good up in Deadwood.
Well, at least we didn't get shot. Now, things will go better here.
I hope so. What kind of lawman they got here, I wonder?
We'll soon find out. Ought to be along any minute now. I sent word we'd like to have a talk right away at the hotel here.
By the way, Quarter, who's going to do the talking this time?
I'll do it.
It must be him.
You let me handle this now, Douglas.
Okay.
Come in.
My name's Matt Dillon.
Well, I'm Ben Corder, Marshal. This is my partner, Harry Duggan.
Hello.
Good night, Marshal.
You asked me to come here. You said it was urgent.
Oh, it is, Marshal, it is. You see, Duggan and me, we're business partners. And whenever we come to a new town, like Dodge here, we like to get to know whoever's running the place. That way we figure there won't be any misunderstanding later on.
Well, what is your business, gentlemen?
We're gamblers.
Now, what do you want of me? Dodge is an open town.
We make money gambling, Marshal. Sometimes a lot of money. We just want you to know in advance that you'll get your share of it.
I'm a lawman, Corder, and as long as I am, there won't be any crooked games in Dodge.
Oh, no, Marshal, you know how sometimes a player will lose a little money and start a fuss over it, and then maybe even go to the law about it.
And when he does, he's usually been cheated. Before he gets to the law, there's another killing. Now, you can run your game, Corder, but you keep it straight or out you go. Both of you.
That's not friendly, Marshal.
You've made one mistake, trying to bribe me. You make another and you're through in Dodge.
One of those hard-nosed marshals, huh?
You'll find out soon enough, mister. Good day, gentlemen.
You handled him great, Corder. Just great.
No, don't be a fool. He's no better than anybody else. And I got an idea we can persuade him yet.
Chester,
Yes, sir?
how's the prisoner?
Oh, he's all right, Mr. Dillon. Just sleeping off his drunk.
Well, it's late. I think I'll get out of here and go to bed. Don't forget to put the lamp out before you leave the office, Chester.
No, sir, I won't.
Get out!
You see anybody? You want a rifle?
No, stay where you are. All right, you can crawl over now and put that lamp out, huh? But stay low.
Yes, sir.
Well, he's through.
Ain't we going after him, Mr. Dillon?
Now, he had a rifle, Chester, and he was in the alley just across the street. That's mighty poor shooting if he wanted to hit me.
What do you mean?
I think he was trying to scare me, to show me how they treat the law where he comes from.
Oh, them two gamblers, huh?
Yeah, maybe. But I can't be sure. Well, I'm going to take a rifle and go out the back way. I'll see you tomorrow, Chester.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Matt.
Good evening, Kitty.
Sit down.
Thanks. It's crowded in here tonight.
I'll get you a drink.
No, not now, huh?
Chester was in earlier. He told me about your getting shot at last night.
Well, I didn't get hit anyway.
But you might have, especially a man with a rifle.
Well, Kitty, I'll admit I don't like the idea of being ambushed. I prefer to do my fighting in the open.
Oh, Matt. Why do you have to fight at all? Why can't you live like other men?
Well, somebody has to enforce the law, Kitty.
Sure. Forget it, Matt. Any idea who was after you last night?
Well, might have been one of those two men watching us from the bar over there. Maybe both of them.
Oh? They look like gamblers to me.
Yeah, they are. The one who's headed this way calls himself Ben Corder.
If there's going to be trouble...
No, there won't be. Just sit still.
Evening, Marshal.
Hello.
Ah, right pretty girl.
Say what you have to say, Corder.
Sure do make it hard to be friends, Marshal. I just wanted to say that I heard you got shot at last night.
So?
Well, I'm sorry it happened, that's all. I sure don't envy a man who has to be a marshal. It's mighty dangerous. And besides, it usually don't pay very good.
What do you think I ought to do about it, Corder? Quit?
Oh, that isn't necessary, Marshal. Why, if you were smart, you could stay right here and make more money and take less chances, too.
I didn't know for sure it was you, Corder. But I know it now.
What do you mean?
There's a stage out of Dodge in half an hour. You and Duggan are going to be on it.
Oh, no, we're opening our new game across the street tonight.
I'll take your gun, Corder.
Now, wait a minute, Marshal. You can't do that.
Yes, I can do it.
Oh, no, you won't.
All right, Duggan. I want your gun next.
Sure, Marshal. Sure.
Turn around and put your hands on the bar. All right, now go pick up your partner. You're riding the stage north tonight. Now get going, Duggan, and don't ever come back, either one of you. They got on the stage all right. I was there to see 'em do it. And just before it pulled out, I unloaded their guns and tossed them into the floor inside. And then they left, and I forgot about 'em. I figured these two, like so many others I'd run out of Dodge, would keep going and make their trouble somewhere else. But a couple of weeks later, I found out I'd figured wrong. I was walking up Front Street one evening with Doc.
That Humboldt woman was in to see me again today, Matt.
Well, you're usually complaining about a shortage of patients, Doc.
I know, but this woman's not a patient. She's a suicide.
Oh, Doc, that might be said of anybody who comes to you.
Eh? Oh, no, I'm going to remember that, ain't you?
Mr. Dillon? Oh, hello, Doc.
Oh, hello, Chester.
Say, they're right inside the Alfraganza there, Mr. Dillon. I just saw them.
Oh? Who'd you see, Chester?
Them gamblers, Carter and Duggan, and they got somebody else with them, some stranger.
Oh, no. I'll see you later, Doc.
Sure, Matt. Yeah.
There they are, right down at the end of the bar there. All three of them.
Well, I'll be...
Here he is. Here he is, Toke. This is him.
Wow.
We're back, Marshal. And we brought a man with us to sort of look after our interests. You won't buffalo him so easy.
Hello, Toke.
You really Marshal here?
Yeah? Why didn't they tell you?
I didn't mention no names.
What are you two talking about? What is this?
Toke Marlin and I are old friends, Carter. We worked and rode a long time together. We went through quite a lot, didn't we, Toke?
Too much. Remember?
Yeah, I remember. You've, sold your gun to these two. Is that right?
That's right.
So you're here to kill me?
Yeah. I'm here to kill you.
Say, how are morning appetites at your house? If they're pretty drowsy, here's a real good way to wake 'em up. Set a bowl full of Post Toasties, the heap good cornflakes, at everybody's place. Just watch your folks take notice when they see how crisp Post Toasties are. And wait till they taste that sweet kernel corn flavor toasted in. Bet your whole tribe will agree with you. Post Toasties are the best thing that's happened to corn since the Indians discovered it. And here's a thought if you'd like to make a good thing even better. Try topping Post Toasties with your favorite fruit. You'll find that's a mighty good way to start the day. Fact is, it's a downright delicious way. So next time you shop, be sure to ask for Post Toasties. They're the heap good cornflakes. You'll see.
Post Toasties, heap good cornflakes. The best thing that's happened to corn since the Indians discovered it. Heap good cornflakes. Post Toasties, heap good cornflakes.
Now back to Gunsmoke.
It was a bad feeling to meet Toke Moreland again after some 15 years and to have him standing at the bar of the Alfraganza, hired by a couple of crooked gamblers to kill me. Toke and I had run horses together over in New Mexico until the night we rode into Silver City and got taken by a drunken mob and beaten half to death. It didn't matter who they were after or why. The next day, when they found out that we weren't the men they wanted, it was too late. Something had gone wrong inside Toke. And as soon as he was able, he rode off without a word. I never saw him again. Until now.
How long you been a marshal?
Long time, Toke.
I never figured lawman for much.
I want to talk to you, Toke. Come on over to the table.
Oh, no, you don't, Marshal.
Shut up,
No, you...
Carter. Come on, Toke. Sit down. Is
This your profession now? Shooting people?
Oh, I gamble a little.
Why do you do it, Took?
I don't like people much. Not after what happened in Silver City.
You recovered from that beating? We both did. We were young. It was a long time ago.
Maybe my memory is better than yours.
No, that isn't it. We both changed after that, Took.
We sure did.
But we changed in different ways. You hate everybody. I just hate mobs. I guess that's one reason I became a lawman.
There was a lawman helping them that night in Silver City. He was the sheriff.
There are good sheriffs and bad.
Like marshals.
I suppose.
It's kind of too bad you're a marshal, Matt.
You're going to go through with this anyway, is that it?
I'll never back off from a fight.
What if I won't fight you?
You don't have to. I get paid anyway. But you'll have to leave Dodge.
You think I'll do that?
No. But I'll give you 24 hours to think it over anyway.
All right. That gives you 24 hours, too.
I don't change. Talk's nothing to me.
But money is, huh?
It adds to the pleasure.
You'd, enjoy shooting me?
You ain't Matt Dillon. You're a U.S. Marshal.
No, Toke, you're stupid. You don't think.
Maybe, but I'm a pretty good gunman.
Yeah, sure.
Matt, you can let Corder and Duggan run their game here, or you can quit.
It's a crooked game. There'd be fights. Men would die. No, I got a job, too, Toke.
24 hours, Marshal.
Okay. 24 hours.
Hello, Matt. Chester?
Hello, Doc.
Doc?
You're looking mighty glum today, Matt.
Am I?
You should be.
Why?
Well, I've been over to the Dodge House. Mr. Reisling's down with the gout again. And there's a lot of talk, Matt. I know you must have your reasons, but people are sure wondering what those two gamblers are doing back in town again.
Well, that'll all be settled tonight, Doc.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
Don't go to bed early, huh? We might need you.
Yeah? A fight, man? Why, you didn't have any trouble with them before. Why, you... Oh, that other fella they brought with him.
Yeah, that one.
Ain't there no way at all to stop him, Mr. Dillon?
I've been trying to think, Chester.
If there's anything in this world I hate, it's a paid gunman. I got no use for a man that can be bought for money.
Money's important to Toke, but I don't see how... You know where Toke is now?
Well, he was in the Texas Trail a little while ago.
Good. I'll be back later. Hello, Toke.
Well, it's Marshal Dillon. Sit down, Marshal. You know, Miss Kitty here.
Hello, Matt.
Kitty?
You've been talking about you and me and Kitty. Been talking about me, too.
Well, then I'm not interrupting because I'd like to talk about you.
Go right ahead, but don't stay too long. She's an awful pretty girl, Matt.
Maybe I better leave.
No, you stay right where you are. Anything the Marshal's got to say, we can all hear. You leave, I'll leave.
It's up to you, Matt.
It's all right, Kitty. Stay. Toke, what are they paying you to get rid of me?
$700.
What if I give you $700?
What, to shoot them?
You don't care who you kill, do you?
Don't matter much.
No. All right, I'll give you $700 to clear out of here and forget this whole business.
You have changed, Matt. You sure never were a coward in the old days.
Is that what you think?
Well, so does Kitty, don't you, Kitty?
Don't tell me what I think, mister.
She's full of fire, Matt. She deserves a real man.
Ah.
No, I think I'll get my money from Corder and Duggan. I don't want to leave Dodge. Not till Kitty and me get a little better acquainted anyway.
Now I am leaving.
You're no good, Toke. You're really no good at all anymore.
Wait till 8 o'clock, Marshal. We'll see about it then.
Sure.
I saw it, Mr. Dillon. I was just coming for you. It was Toke Moreland. He just shot a man at the Monte table back there. But the other fella drawed first.
Okay, Chester. Keep an eye on Corder and Duggan.
Yes, sir.
Toke!
Evening, Marshal. You got here just in time.
Did you kill that man, Toke?
I killed him.
Why?
He objected to the deal, tried to pull a gun. It was self-defense. But that don't matter none.
A crooked deal always leads to killing. That's why I'm running your friends out of Dodge.
You ain't running us out of Dodge, Marshal. Go on, Toke, show him.
I told you once, Corder, I'll run this play. Keep out of it.
Well, sure, Toke, sure. I didn't mean nothing.
Shut up!
Right, but...
I guess you ain't a coward after all, Matt.
Now get out of Dodge. Take them with you.
No. I'm going to try to kill me another lawman first.
Okay, Toke. So long.
So long, Marshal. I'm hurt, Matt. Bad.
Yeah.
You hit me both times.
I had to, Toke.
Too late to do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too late.
By heaven, I wish I had last week back again, Matt. Here it is.
Corder. Duggan. Get out of here. Any way you can, but fast.
Well, sure. We're going.
And if you come back with another gunman, I won't wait to shoot him. Now get away from me.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by John Meston, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were John Daner, Harry Bartell, and Lawrence Dobkin. Parley Bear is Chester, Howard McNear is Doc, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty. Ken Peters speaking. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, meets two brothers who want to stop his fight to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. Listen next week at this time when Gunsmoke will be brought to you by Sugar Crinkles, the sugar rice treat that's just right sweet.
Now, at this point in the fall of 1953, Gunsmoke had begun to pick up some sponsorship. Sometimes a show has to prove itself without spots in what's called a sustaining manner in order for somebody to look at it and say, hey, we'd like to sponsor that. On a private note here, there is one advantage to dealing with these Gunsmoke shows that have commercials in them. The two shows put together run longer than the time I have here. So by taking out the commercials occasionally, you can shorten the shows without losing any of the plot. Two shows from the fall of 1953. And that's it for this time around. I'm Dennis Daly. Thanks for joining me on Gunsmoke Theater as we go back into the archives to play more of the episodes of the radio show that changed everything for the better. Gunsmoke, right here on YouTube.